ni age 23 years.
Chale ball akwala ne bono.
23 years. And we jina enra anopena me kan say me say enra.
Hipa ne Dembele akwa no.
Oh Dembele dia.
Wo nim long distance e bia ho han. France wo mutu America ho.
Oh mutu America.
Wo nim long distance won dia bono bonam dia.
Ono dia sa no te.
Ah, wo nim so
America. O dia Barcelona be 2-3 years ni sa.
Na to America na o de dia.
Ono
a ho no de America ko. O kwai.
It is a no say na France 4 players be omoye Mbappe be say 3 and half.
Chale. I him say last minute no. The France say
Colomwani
when nyabutre. Sanko break ball no to ho.
Eno so experience.
Of course.
Mbappe mu a.
Sanka Mbappe.
Yes,
because Encrofor say Mbappe crown won penalties bo papa. Benra
say okoni team a onye penalty no. PSG no. Ya sheshe Neymar Messi Mbappe. Ese Messi mpodi we ni ho afiri o penalty team Neymar ne Mbappe na o money regular and also timi ma we into onye regular penalty taker. But o mu team ni mu dia e France dia you see on na the best.
Oh yes nka de obetimi Benzema.
O se Benzema de o mu team ni dia o nka ho.
Benzema ba wa mobi.
Oh yes.
Wa mobi. E na akwa na team ye de no o Manchester no a. Akwa Jimmy for ba akwa. Poba no.
Say Poba so.
Well, Jimmy Poba. Jimmy do. Jimmy Sam we free on. Jimmy Sam tie say ball no lusu ne touch na we ball na.
Ono sa no tie. O the brand aka ho. Nti bia no da. Is o juvi. E ho no ball ne ball. Nti e say there.
Shall come here and this in by this time of some for sorry. Hey! By this time for some for chairman was sorry you. Ha, no pa chese. From Saturday, on the statement the Piabonte, about was sorry, was the Niati, and now I complain so by man Tibi. He had a lot to say. Also, look, it was chaotic, and I agree with him because you call NPP for the and you call NDC for the on the same pitch. I Accra Sports Stadium. Kwanya ya ma delegate ko to aba when MPP omoye omodiane time NDC for your omodiane kwanya NDC for ma delegate ko to edu baby kra nko omoye bu gate. In fact, they push the gate, force themselves onto the pitch. Oto abawie so awonko no odira park ne so. MPP dia no oto abawie police for make sure they clear the people from the park. Wow. And Ofosu had a lot to say. I think it was chaotic. In fact, he also said, say, obi na me sure say Asiedu Nketia. General J4C was you be said e place cameras e wo baby ani e to aba no enti wo to ana o dran phone so no wo hwe ei crofo e serious o wo to aba na no o dran phone so hwe o ani esma crofo gra fa phone so nkom no ya se wo to aba na o so wo to aba na se Asiedu Nketia no wo hwe ei memene da no kwasi ada. Oh, but it was a beautiful Congress, honestly. The no more pair hunu say be an canto kobesi, prepare pebesi, moja begu, wamu gu manimase, wamu gu manimase, and massa, be kama. Apart from voting time, no, kwamuya bu sports stadium, I said that. Musa ko bugate. And when you acquire mupiti, acquire Yaman sky $800,000 US. So I'm remember game, whiskey. We see horse well see for my mabo. Ma say a pitch. Na delegate to Sabe Bugate. Hey! Asamo, Chale, I don't know the my kind statement to be nafe. Yama videos. Edu baby to Mr. Chairman. I am ready. In fact, Chairman saw this coming. Because Timer, he was supposed to be on the pitch ground, one man. Still no your homework. He was still trying to, do his homework, try and do more than than all them say. Answer last minute, the near see. Crawford did it. Edu baby, I no. Edu baby, one of the envelopes be by her. Sometime no a big envelope. Say a program na woman say dear deal. Crawford be me share papa book wom. Papa ni be book niti. No adane no a be no a say skasem. Is na him. Hey, SMP. Let me read what Samuel Ofosu, former chairman of the NDC in the statement. What the Piabonte. Ebusia, kwa Facebook. ya slapping ho Angel 102.9 FM. Okwa obehu Samuel Ofosu Ampofo. Honorable Samuel Ofosu Ampofo congratulate newly elected NDC national executives. On behalf of the team of Ofosu Ampofo, I wish to congratulate the newly elected national chairman and the other national executives of our dear party, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, who emerged victorious at the just ended 10th National Delegate Congress held at the Accra Sports Stadium on Saturday, 17 December 2022. While these elections needlessly witnessed the worst form of inner vilification, personal attacks, and public injury to the hard-won reputation of our party through various means of public space and social media platforms, this insensitivity would inadvertently affect our restitution, unity, and cohesion needed to engender the collective prosecution of our agenda for victory 2024. Minim se bi wo form obi mu a na start be ba no dey so na Asiedu Nketia kwan so obetimi ehia na so obetimi afre ni nua Samuel Ofosu Ampofo no wo de bia ba se de ekọ so na ntwa yie kura ntinei wo penka bom na ofrase etoto abo ba park ne so asema wom na mechi omutwi no wo penka bom na ofrase etoto abo ba park ne so wo kire se wo no tiwe wo ntubi nya coalition no wo ntubi anya bi wo mukwato aba wo san kire mu se wo no tintintinti aso wo mu ade emra so ya wo mukwakoyi eyi director of elections asa per director of IT na chesa yesi entwen flag bearer of the party a wo was be ntwen na me na me leader enti leader no nti me ma kwan videos ri bi de atwegu no sa bre na abato na frase o tum se na nim nyefe chairman nim nyefe wo ba table no ho de ohun na wampe na nim nyefe tum se sa time na be ma ye mre ne ma nkoye one side o we say de ne ma ne kɔ no se no ade na nkoye ba chairman wo so anya ade o ah na ade no ye kan wie na watu ka akɔ na wo kwai ho chairman chase anka welcome address say dia to be ma general mosquito Brad Congress no pa na nyezo welcome address send your to be manage general mosquito so en tontuma wonka tontum bia out no now wo ye dede wo so sa abete mi no waka o enso general mosquito de wo ye tontuma wo ntumi nka wo nye dede po no waka enso no waka num ni moja utum say yes wa return man pa hey na ba ma ya mle SMP Saturday to Sunday anapa ko na just obi ehun smoothness level ebi yes I have a free anchor be the general secretary and your support every have a free anchor just say ewi ase na just say one so warrior wa na furu so hey just say warrior wa na furu so da no mi amini aba ma kamba national organizer just say onuso sa na oh vitri na ya mi yi na hwe wo say pew kai agloda no ayese ezabio things happened na ebi kekasa say ore said dia NDC for na year executives na kwafo na kekasa asa no hye kakra say MPP for de no
political leadership in Ghana
na MPP chairman ne general secretary ne we na bia na ne so hye kakra wo ma aka nyina aso wo ma amele na we mu no asa ehye wo m kakra dudi wo m jina to boot for boot wa wa sa na ebi keka yankwa homa no so na ye ne yera benefson e ba na batoa mu ehwehwemu abatoa mu enkeka niema nsia ni na ye ntumi hunu se na ekoso a wodi mu akotiri ye pa videos akwaso nyina meyi mu ahwe bi don't worry and na NDC da all the videos ye be pia mu ahwe bi don't worry at all ye be mu ahwe videos ni bi because anadwini nyina things were happening wo mo say so pe victory dia Say open victory 2024 any emia 2. Say open lose in 2024 any emia 3. Na say Asiedu Nketia any chairman of Ampofo video na nante e trend. Ah ekoto so bia etwa bie no. Ni nyina be bra. Ma me kwa ma no so. Yera benefse na pe mo ache.
Good morning to you for me now. Oh, Boko.
Menyim, I didn't see you at the stadium, but I know that if follow proceedings, know how Congress na zini na kwai. It puts it na together. What would you say?
Oh, it was interesting. A number of things were said and done. The coming weeks and months will be interesting.
I'm sure you are talking about proceedings before the election itself, and Nyama Okodo, and Sama Opoe Abuan before the D-Day na Okoto Aban.
You know.
One of them, you tape Oba Abuano, General Secretary Oba Abuano Bekade. NDC couldn't do coalition. In fact, election time in 5 regions, so do baby now one IT machine, so what's the age man? Now we break down. They couldn't gather anything. Now, Ofosu Ampofo or a dictator. I don't know. Some believe that it did play against chairman of Ofosu Ampofo. Do you agree with that assertion?
Yes, I agree. The tape had a short-term effect, but the long-term effect is there. And with that, the tape had come out to portray Ofosu Ampofo as an inefficient leader. But consequences for NDC moving forward is that one, at the time they went to the election petition, Asiedu Nketia took the witness stand on oath he lied. Also, based on our coalition, Akufo-Addo enya 50% plus 1. Now, 2 years later, down the line, almost 2 years later, you are now admitting in that audio there, the time NDC went to court, they had collated results in 5 of the 16 regions. Whether at that time he committed perjury or not is a different thing. 2, in his tape, in the aftermath, he was still describing the Supreme Court as neglecting logic. It's the same Supreme Court which gave NDC victory in the election petition. So if 2024 there is a similar situation and the Supreme Court, for example, rules against NDC, will he accept the results?
Well, explain it. They had pink sheets, but electronically, no problem. In fact, they also said that one court to go and challenge pink as MPP work on. Now, once someone was a court, it was about the fact that declaration that easy, Mami Jen Mensa no, it was different declaration showing there. Back now, chrono, the record.
And with there, in the telephone, Asiedu Nketia explained why Mr. Chikasa wanted to bring the EC chair, which the Supreme Court refused. Because in 2012, one of the grand rules the Supreme Court put out that if you claim there will be a 50% plus one, you bring your evidence. You place your evidence. You bring your evidence to the court. So in 2020, the Supreme Court expected the NDC to come with the basis for saying that Akufo-Addo did not get the 50% plus one. So when Asiedu Nketia per his own narration, on the results for 5 regions, on the Kamal lawyer,
yeah,
he cannot go to court with results from 5 out of 16 regions.
I was on the tape.
Yes. So the time NDC went to court, they didn't have the evidence. So cleverly, Katu rather went to court with the hope that the Supreme Court will agree the EC chair and Mbaba evidence. Then he will ask the EC chair to bring them the results. Clearly, moving forward, Asiedu Nketia's poster portrays it there. In the event that 2024 goes to court, they will not accept the results, whatever. Because in 2012, that EC gave NDC victory at the court, they relied on evidence, not logic, as he's saying. So in there, the Supreme Court disregarded logic and common sense. I think he spoke what the people wanted to hear. When the time comes, we'll see what he will do.
But did you see this coming? In who the chairman of Ampofo was going to lose?
No, I didn't. And when he spoke to me, I said there, I was basing my assessment on the results of the women and youth elections in Cape Coast 5 days earlier.
Yeah.
It was because, for example, in the youth, a lot of leading members openly supported Roger Jemfi, yet he lost. So my assessment was that if in spite of such open endorsement, he lost her, then the mood of the delegates was that they were going to retain the officers who had moved them from 106 seats in 2016 to 137, and who had decreased Mohammed's loss of 1 million votes in 2016 to 500,000. Now, Asiedu Nketia won based on even as at the weekend still insulting the Supreme Court that they defied logic, they defied common sense. When NDC went to court in 2012, the Supreme Court didn't use common sense. They didn't use logic. They used evidence, which the NDC did not have. So moving forward, and on the basis of disregard for Supreme Court, what will he do in the event that 2024, the NDC does not have evidence and the Supreme Court rules against NDC? Will he tell NDC not to accept the Supreme Court ruling? Because that is the mood for which he won't convince you.
That is what MPP executive are saying there. What mana? What are the main elections, and especially with the tape but if NDC in the posture, so delegates in the posture now. It looks like they bought into what the tape was saying, that chairman of Ampofo was weak. Some of them were saying that even in times where they needed him, election time where he has to go around, even in parliament where they were voting for a speaker, he was nowhere to be found. I don't know.
You see, Asiedu Nketia has set a dangerous trap for himself and the NDC.
Think so?
Yes. If in 2012 the Supreme Court ruled for NDC to be in power based on evidence, 2012 the Supreme Court ruled for the MPP based on evidence you did not have. And 2 years after, you are still saying that the Supreme Court disregarded common sense and logic. Since when the Supreme Court rulings come to be based on common sense and logic? It is the evidence you have. And your own tape indicts you that you did, at the time you went to Supreme Court, you had only resolved from 5 or 16 regions. It looks like he's taking the NDC down a path of, in the event that the case goes to court, if NDC does not win, let the country burn.
Well, let's assess the other one winning, other winners: General Secretary, National Organizer, Vice Chairpersons, Chairwoman, and Chairman. And there were 2 men, Azoka and then Abanga. And then looking at General Secretary Fifi Kwete, beating Elvis Afriyankra, and then the others. How do you assess him moving forward as a General Secretary for NDC?
I think that one of the things that helped Fifi was part of his campaign. You know that between NDC and MPP, for MPP, for example, most of the delegates are from Ashanti and Eastern. And for NDC, most of the delegates are from the Volta and Northern regions. One of the bases for his campaign, which many of the delegates voted, was that he needed to be voted for so that there can be a representation from the Volta region among the top executives. And I think that it was good for the NDC and the party. That was one of the reasons for his victory. Fifi Kwete also speaks the language of Asiedu Nketia. I hope that the NDC will not be lured into false complacency that come 2024 in the event that there is a court case, the NDC will have to win by all means.
Looking at national organizer position, Joseph Yamin, isn't it compare Kofi Adams Akamba? Yamin we beat Akamba, who was seen to be like he was out there. He organized walks, unity walks after they lost the elections. Nazinara, delegates still voted against him and gave it to Yamin.
Yes, I think that Yamin also spoke the last. You see, the leadership of the NDC since 2020, some of them have put the NDC in denial that they lost the elections. They still think that they won, and the Supreme Court ruled against them. Maybe in their somber moments, they will listen to the tape again and see that their leaders deceived them. Because if you've not collected the event, the result, how can you calculate and say that Akufo-Addo didn't get 50% plus one? Without the results, how can you know that somebody didn't win? So, on sober reflection, yes, they've elected Asiedu Nketia, but they will see and admit to themselves that they were deceived going to the Supreme Court. They were totally deceived.
I get your point from there. My FM Kumasi, I'm sure would have a lot to talk about. But finally, Ibirika there, it looks like NDC voted for one wire wild kakra as against MPP voting for people who are a bit calmer. And elections 2024, I don't know how that will play out.
Election is not about being wild. Election is about winning. And this country called Ghana is bigger than NDC and MPP. So I hope that people will take note.
As time goes on, because now I'm sure after a while we'll know exactly what they're bringing on board to change NDC's fortunes. That's what they're saying. 2024. Uncle Benefson or a poster on the attending Kano.